Welcome to Watching the Horizon. I'm Jake. Now, in the not too distant past, it seemed to me that the majority of preppers that were out there were of a political nature leaning more towards the conservative side of things. And as of late, we've sort of got an infusion of new blood. People who would label themselves as liberals or progressives and didn't get to see their person win in the recent presidential election are now kind of feeling a lot of the same fear and anxieties that the conservatives were feeling in years past. And with all of the headlines that are being made by President Trump and the administration, all the controversy that's being publicized in the news and online, a lot of those same people are thinking to themselves, something might happen. Now, conservatives in the past were worried about, going back to, old-fashioned values, more traditional type values. They were worried about the government making bad decisions regarding finance. Maybe we would see some sort of financial collapse, or maybe the government would just simply collapse under its own weight, that some sort of natural disaster would sort of break the system and overload it, or maybe there would even be some sort of war, whether it be on our soil or maybe even something worldwide that entangled us to a situation where now we're living in a police state. These were the fears that were experienced by a lot of people over the last several years and by a whole lot of new people just in the last several months. Now, I'm of the opinion, regardless of what political party you affiliate or don't affiliate with, I think it's just a good idea to be prepared regardless. And if you disagree with me, that's okay. The point is you are now feeling the urgency. You are now seeing that, you know what? It might be a good idea to put some extra food aside, to put a little extra something away just in case. The desire to prepare really comes from the same place in all of us. Some of you would say that it's fear-based. I'm not going to say that the fear isn't there. But more importantly, it comes from the desire to not be a victim. We have made a choice that we want to be able to weather the oncoming storm, whatever storm that might be. We want to make sure that we make it to the other side. Most importantly, we don't want to suffer or our families suffer. We want to be able to eat and not go thirsty, even in the most difficult of times. And this country in the past has seen difficult times before. We've had prosperity for a good long while now. But talk to any individual old enough to have seen the Great Depression, and they will tell you of a completely different America. An America that really isn't that far away from today. And even if you're not an American citizen, I know a lot of the people who watch these videos are in the U.S., hey, by the way, as fellow citizens, as fellow humans, we all really just want the same things. We want safety. We want security. We want to not go hungry. We want to be together with our families. We don't want to be pushed around. And we understand that some of the most important things to us are, in fact, vulnerable. Why we think that those things have become vulnerable, in my opinion, is not as important as the recognition that they are. So regardless of your political background, I welcome you. I'm glad that you're looking into the whole prepper movement thing. I think it's fantastic. I think that every family in America and in the world should have some sort of preparedness, some level of food and water just in case, some level of medication and first aid and shelter in the event of any kind of disaster. Disasters happen all the time. They could be something local, like just an earthquake or a tornado rips through your neighborhood. They could be something more large scale, like a pandemic or a flu. I mean, it's like every other day that I'm watching some sort of news story about some sort of antibiotic resistant bacteria that's, ravaging, through hospitals. Or you read the news and there are people rioting in the streets, like Venezuela, for example. Those people are starving. There's no food. The more prepared people that we have, the safer everybody is. That just means that there's going to be less competition for scarce resources if we're all prepared. In an ideal world where every single person had, let's just say, for an example, a 1 month supply of food, water, shelter, fuel, that kind of thing. 1 month reserve, just 4 weeks, that's it. Now, they say that in the event of a big disaster, impending doom, if there's notice, that the grocery stores can empty in a day or less. That the average family, in America anyway, only has 3 days worth of food in their kitchen and pantry. So after the third day, your kids are going to start crying because they're hungry or they're out of water. How much water do you have if all of a sudden there was a big alert that, oh, by the way, the water's not safe, and it's not safe for 500 miles in every direction? What are you going to do? Instead of everybody starting to riot in the streets or get at each other's throats in just in a matter of days, if we all had a month reserve of supplies, that's a good long time for resources to kind of come together, to organize, to figure something out, and then to get help to the affected area. Now, am I saying that you should have only a month of supplies? Of course not. I think you should have supplies for much longer than that. But the whole point is that the more people who prep, regardless of your political background, your religious background, any kind of background that you have, it doesn't matter. If you're not going hungry and you're not going thirsty, the chances of you knocking on my door asking for my stuff because you run out goes down. Now, if you happen to be one of these new preppers and you're just sort of getting into it yourself, maybe you haven't really started, or you're thinking about starting, or you're coming to the realization that, it would probably be a really good idea to put something together, but you just don't necessarily know how to start. I understand that it can be overwhelming. A cursory search on the internet obviously could easily overwhelm anybody. I did put together a quick little video that's sort of some beginning tips for beginning preppers, and just go ahead and check that out. It's a good way to sort of keep things in perspective and get you going in the right direction. So to all those new preppers out there that are just now sort of finding themselves in a situation where they feel like they need to do something, I welcome you and I thank you. Thank you for coming to the realization that you need to take responsibility for yourself. Relying on any other person, government, or organization to bail you out in the event of an emergency, in my opinion, is just short-sighted. At the end of the day, you are responsible for you. And if you don't believe that you are responsible for you, then I would argue that you're just lazy. It has nothing to do with politics and just everything to do with attitude. Does this mean that some people are going to have a harder time of it than others? Absolutely. For some of you, it's going to be darn right impossible. And your plan, your preparedness plan, is going to have to include other people. And that's fine. But just have a plan. Don't think that someone else is going to come to your rescue because you're you. And chances are, if you're watching this video, you don't believe that. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you realize that you do need to prepare for yourself and for your family. Because there may not be government assistance in the event of some kind of disaster or SHTF situation. There may not be anyone to save the day or an organization to hand out water or Suzanne Summers to... That was not fair to Suzanne Summers. Sorry, no, I couldn't. It was a cheap shot. My bad. So it doesn't matter if you were with her or you were feeling the burn. It does not matter if you listen to NPR or you listen to Rush Limbaugh. Let me welcome you to the world of prepping. I'd love to know, for some of you who are just starting out prepping, if you wouldn't mind commenting, what is your number one concern? Or what was the main motivating factor that made you realize, you know what? I gotta start prepping now. Was it because of the political change in our system, or was it having to do with something else? I'm kind of just curious, since this video is going to reach a lot more people than I'll ever talk to in a day, a week, a lifetime. Seriously, put in the comments. I'd love to know, what was that spark that caused you to, yes, I'm going to start prepping, I'm going to start looking into food storage, I'm going to get started today. So anyway, I appreciate you watching, and just be sure to keep your eyes open.